We have reports of rioting going on in Minneapolis. To no one's surprise, but this one is in kind of reaction to what happened with Renee Good yesterday. And we're seeing these local, I don't know if you want to call them leftists or not, we're seeing groups setting up another Chaz chop. Is everyone ready for 2026 to be somewhat of a repeat of 2020? We are heading into a midterm year. So you're going to see a lot of this political agitation, but I will give the rioters credit this time. It's cold in Minneapolis. It's pretty cold to have 1,000 people in the streets, but they did have about 1,000 people or more, based on the videos, taking to the streets in protest. This is the aftermath. We talked about it yesterday. And after I was able to sleep on it, I woke up and Kristi Noem, I said, Kristi Noem should have been fired, should have been let go. That doesn't mean I think the cop did I don't want to say it was a bad shooting, almost like the way George Floyd was handled was bad by the cops, but that doesn't mean the cops, Chauvin and others, especially the other ones, should have been indicted or gone to prison. I think it was a mess created from management at the top, starting with Trump and then going down to Kristi Noem. But I was saying, well, Kristi Noem needs to be fired. When I woke up in the morning and she wasn't fired. So I will promise to you, you will hear a lot of Donald Trump impeachment from me going forward. He needs to go. There's multiple reasons why. I'm not even going to talk about Mark Levin clawing him.
To have the privilege.
I'm not going to talk about it. I'm going to try very, very hard not to talk about Mark Levin wrapping a sitting predator, well, he's that too, president allegedly, around his shoulder and clawing him. I'm not going to talk about how he's corrupted in that manner. He's going to speak at the WEF this year. We'll see what he says. He could do an anti-globalist speech. We'll see. He spews a lot of BS nowadays. But just on this issue alone, the lack of leadership, the lack of direction continues to breed chaos, unknown. People don't know what's happening. People don't know where. There's no person to go to. Kristi Noem is not somebody to go to. J.D. Vance is not somebody to go to. They're not really even addressing this head on like you need to. I think he should be impeached and removed from office. And that's not to big up J.D. Vance. That's just out of general principle. If you're not operating as a leader as you should be, he's looking very old. He's looking really old now. And that was part of the reason I didn't vote for him. Not the hugest reason, because there's plenty others. But I said that he's 79 now. Is he 80 now? I don't know what he is now. 79 or 80. What job does a 79 or 80-year-old do that you have to work hours and hours and hours every day? I don't feel like I want to go after Trump. I don't take any joy in this. I've been a Trump supporter for quite some time. But the lack of leadership is just too much to overlook now. He was terrible during the Floyd riots. We're seeing this again. Letting stuff get out of control, not putting your foot down. You either got to go 100 or 0. You either got to you either have to say the block is hot, it's too many people protesting, I'm pulling back. Or you got to go 100. You come out in front, and we will talk about it. There was another shooting today, but it didn't come from the standpoint where I'm saying is you can't block the roads. That can't happen. You can't block access to federal buildings. That can't happen. We'll just turn you into a Grand Theft Auto situation if that happens. That needs to be said. Or if you don't want to say that, I'm fine with that. Just peel back, go cower in your cave, and I actually wouldn't mind. I wouldn't knock you for that. They're obviously not trained for this. They're not prepared for this. So maybe that is the right decision, to regroup and get your ducks in order. But what's happening? Let's take a closer look at the news here. We're getting news from street reporters, and they're saying that they're out in the streets. They're literally out in these streets, blocks away from where the Floyd situation happened. And it was an emotional day for many people. And now we're reliving it all over again. I'll give you just this is I want to do peaceful takes on it. Here's a peaceful video from Brian Allen. I believe he did that one. I don't know if he's showing that from the other dude, the other street reporter. But what we're seeing here, if you're not able to watch the video, we are seeing tents being built up. It kind of looks a little bit like the pro-Palestine protests, and it kind of looks like the George Floyd Chaz chopped situation. It was what we're seeing here. They did the same thing in Minneapolis when Floyd popped off as well, blocking off the street. So we're seeing things escalate, and it looks like, why let another body go to waste? Now, it's not a black. I always criticize them for letting a black dies for whatever reason, and they propel it into this. Well, this time a white died, a white, and that's not funny. I'm laughing at them taking advantage. Her death is tragic. I had no beef with her. I am not here to talk ill of her in any way, shape, or form. I will talk ill of this because it's people who are now taking advantage of a situation to do what they want to do. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of those people were happy. I wouldn't be surprised at all if they were happy that she was gone, that she maybe not literally happy that she got unlived, but I wouldn't be surprised if they were happy that the situation arose that allows them to now use her passing to further their political agenda. And I never even had beef with Antifa. My take with Antifa was always, if you're going to be anti-fascist, then be anti-fascist. Be what you're supposed to be. So let's look at the details of today with the protests. I'm going on Fox 9 News right now. Protesters demand ICE leave Minneapolis after Renee Good fatal shooting. This was an article that popped up at 9:45 p.m. Central. Protesters in Minneapolis are calling for ICE to leave. I saw that Minneapolis played Cleveland, I guess it was today, and there was a moment of silence, and during the moment of silence, somebody popped off F ICE, and then everybody started clapping. So that's the sentiment in the country. And it's a typical leftist thing where it's all emotion. I saw Kim Iverson talking about this, chatting about it on Twitter and X, and she said something to the effect of being pro Renee Good and talking about how, well, it seems like people don't respect the right to protest anymore. And that's a typical leftist, and Kim Iverson is great, but that's your typical, especially typical woman leftist. And the male leftists are very feminine in nature, so they're very similar, where you do understand that a protest can't block a street, right? Just in general. Like if I'm driving down the street, you don't get to protest anything by stepping in front of my car. That's not a protest. That's bullshit. It's you're either trying to entrap me or you're trying to exert power on me. I don't care if it's 1,000 of you. There was a video that came out in Minneapolis tonight where a car came through, didn't really kind of hit a person, but kind of nudged the person, just kind of gave the person a little friendly elbow with the side of the car. But there's hundreds of you in the street and they're trying to drive. What do you think this is? I fully support the law in Florida and with Ron DeSantis that you should be able to turn them into human speed bumps. Well, why not? when I'm supposed to just be a sitting duck for a swarm of zombies to swarm up on my car? That's what I'm supposed to do when they're in the street with no permit? You think the First Amendment means that you can just protest wherever the hell you want to protest? That would be absolute chaos. No, it doesn't mean that. So we have to, and we have a culture now in this country where it feels like if you want to protest, it doesn't matter how you protest. I mean, you can do anything nowadays. Is what you can set up your own chopped city. You can run. You can go run into the street with hundreds of people, hold up signs, and block people from driving. And people say that that's a legit protest. It might be a legit protest because you are risking something, you are putting something on the line. But what's also legit is if somebody runs through that protest. That's also legit because I don't have to stop and be swarmed or be worried or turn around because of you in the middle of the street. Yeah, you do have a right to protest as long as you don't infringe on me. Go ahead and do what you want to do. Somebody on Fox News, they didn't make this up, I don't think, but that was the first I heard it. They mentioned this was during the Summer of Love. This was after the Rittenhouse thing, I believe. They said, "What kind of protests happen at night after the sun sets?" There's no protest that happens after the sun sets. You're using the cover of darkness to do something else beyond protesting. And again, the theme that always comes up is, I'd appreciate you a lot more if you just owned what it was. I would appreciate you so-called protesters, if you just own that you're exerting force. We're gonna get to the two officers shooting, but I do want to cover some more of the protests first. Getting the most recent news on it right now. Most recent news on it was about an hour ago. We saw some of the street reporters talking about it. They are now spray. Of course, they go with the spray paint or whatever, and they're spray painting all over the place. Anti-ice, and the streets are shut down. This is from, I have something from earlier today. I'll show real quick. From earlier today, there's quite a few people out there. I don't know how they get a following like, and you know what? Maybe I'll transition into how they got that following because I think this is an organic one. I don't think it's always organic. I don't think it's always organic, but I think when you see stuff like this, you've got to don't assume that it's fake. What let's assume that it's real and listen to what's happening and the people's concerns. What I'm getting towards is the optics are really bad on this. Just because I don't think the cop should be in prison doesn't mean it was good, doesn't mean they did the right thing, and it doesn't mean the optics aren't so bad. It's almost like it's almost like I know this might not be true, but it feels almost like Donald Trump is happy about this because he won't be deporting many people because of the midterms are coming up. All the Republicans in the not safe districts, there's no way they're gonna put up with. They're already like, I can't win like this. The purple district Republicans, all the purple district Democrats are happy. Why are they in the street? We'll talk about Renee Good. That's probably why they're in the streets. It wasn't a black. Oh, thank goodness it wasn't a black. This would have been worse. Imagine if it was a black in the summer, it would have blown up even more. That's a normal. I mean, I think I know where that is in Minneapolis. This is a very busy. That's the Ave right there. Is that Portland Ave? I forget the name of the streets. I'm not good with directions. But I used to live out there. I didn't go to Minnesota a lot. I'm in Minneapolis a lot. Even when I lived out there, I was up north in the north suburbs. I was there. You couldn't find a black. You couldn't find a black other than me. When I was out in Minneapolis, in Minnesota, where I lived, I don't even know where you would find a black. You would have to travel quite a bit of time, quite a bit. But I would go to St. Paul. St. Paul's the Twin Cities are great, man. It's a weird part of the country, don't get me wrong, but the food is good out there. I'm gonna sidetrack into that a little bit. As they yell fuck ice, there's no surprise if you ever been out there. It's like mini Portlandia. It's like living in the TV show Portlandia out there. But because you have the mixture of all the people, you actually have really good food out there with the Hmong and the Ethiopians and all that. Friend of the show Christian says he used to live out there. That's a picture of the ICE agent who got doxxed. Somebody doxxed him. You knew that was going to happen. And so it's a lot of young people. Pretty much the same as the pro-Palestinian protesters. Probably a lot of overlap. Even though I'm not pro-Palestine, so I'm not against them on that protest as much. And maybe I am because I'm pro-American, but this is the same group of people basically. And it's pretty cold, so I'm gonna give them credit for this crowd. Again, I'm gonna assume it's organic right now until I see enough otherwise. Immigrants are welcome here. Immigrants are welcome here. What are you honking your horn at? You've lost the battle at this point. If you live in an area that allows this type of thing, you've lost the battle at this point. So don't honk your horn. Just take the L, turn around. Yeah, how safe do you feel in those cars? You can't go in the street because they literally probably very recently flooded the streets, and now those cars don't know what is going on. You're very close to just anarchy at this point. Let's go to some of the optics that I thought didn't go well. There were some cartoon memes, the political kind of cartoons, and I thought they said it pretty well. They said it without speaking, of course. This is a political meme I'm going to show here. And then go into who Renee Good was just based on the information we have. And I thought this was a mistake yesterday when we reacted to the press conference from Kristi Noem. Kristi Noem, the picture I'm showing here, it's kind of small. I'll just describe it. The woman who was in the SUV who got shot was a mother. And the political cartoon has a big kind of poster type of thing or projection in the background, probably 20, 30 feet. And Kristi Noem with a red hat on saying, "No, you're domestic terrorist." That's a tough sell. I know you want to do that, MAGA, because they did that to you, the Democrats. They called you that. And she was not lawful based on what I know, she was not lawful in that moment. I think she was just scared and trying to get away. I don't think she was trying to unlive anybody. So that's where the optics get bad. What do we know about Renee Good, the woman who was unlived yesterday? She was described by those who knew her, of course, but I'm just going to read through it. I do that when there's victims of other crimes as well. She was described by those who know her as loving. She was 37 years old and a mother. She grew up mostly in Colorado. That's interesting, just based on my location. She grew up mostly in Colorado and earned an English degree from Old Dominion University in 2020. Good's life was not without hardship. She lost her husband, a military veteran, in 2023 that left her as the sole parent to their young son. I thought she had multiple children. I guess it's one child. After her husband's death, Good briefly moved to Kansas to live with her parents, but she most recently had relocated to the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, St. Paul, and was living there with her partner, Rebecca Brown. Good. I don't know what the relationship is. It sounds like they were saying, obviously, it's woman, woman, lesbian. And they were saying, that's my wife, the one, the widow, I guess you would call, was saying that, kind of blaming herself for her wife's death. But I don't know if they're really married. But it's just a word. What do you mean? What is married? It's a woman, a woman. That is not even what marriage is. I mean, you can call it a union or something like that, but it's not marriage. And let's stop there. I'm not here to disparage the death of this woman, but I think men have a value in society, and I think we need to stop. It's not probably you listening to this podcast, but I think people need to stop looking at it as this was a woman on woman relationship, and then that's totally fine. It's totally good. Well, I think you could make the argument potentially or hypothetically that if it wasn't a woman on woman relationship, maybe she would have had a different perspective before going out there. Maybe you do need a man's perspective, just like a man needs a woman's perspective. I just found it interesting that it was a woman and woman relationship, and the woman goes out and makes horrific judgment calls. No matter what you think about the argument of what happened or who's right or wrong or bad or good, she made horrible life choices. We all make horrible life choices at some point. I don't want anybody to be unlived, but that we have to be honest in the aftermath of it. She made terrible life choices, and wife is problematic from a standpoint of she can live her own life. That's fine. But when you analyze what happened, who knows what was the what obviously she was at some point with a man, whether it was in a lab or not, because she has a child. Not only do children need a male influence, they need a man to say, no, I know that I'm married, I have 2 kids. Yeah, I know I need my wife, but I know my wife needs me to say, no, that's not how we're going to raise the boys. No, they got hurt playing football. No, you're not going to hug them. His leg's not broken. Go back to the sideline and sit with your team. I've used that example quite a few times. That's the biggest example. There's other little examples that you can do too. Maybe a little bit over to, somebody was mean to me, so I'm crying. Okay, you're here, you're safe with the parents, but we're not milking this crying thing out. Women don't understand that part of being a man is you do have to be in touch with your emotions. I'm not going to totally put that aside like an old school type person, but to be a man is to be in control of it. You've got to be in control of it. And that's what you have to help the kids do. And for a woman to be with a woman, how does a woman on woman relationship, how does a woman help Renee Good control her emotions of, well, I know you're here to help immigrants, but let's do a risk reward analysis. There's probably not a lot of risk reward analysis going on in the woman and woman relationship. So I think you have to look at that piece of it too, potentially, hypothetically. I just found that interesting. A former neighbor in Kansas emphasized that she was just a mom who loved her kids, loved her spouse. Obviously, that's from biased people, but that leads you to helping to get people in the streets. I saw that Cassandra McDonald, I almost called her Cassandra Fairbags. Cassandra McDonald did an article on this. I believe, yes, I do see it here. There's an article. Cassandra McDonald did an article on this, and the GoFundMe for the wife and son of the woman who was fatally shot trying to mow down ICE. You know, that's a rare moment of disagreement. It's not often I disagree with, she might have just done that, and she doesn't. You know, I don't know how newspapers work. Don't they have the headline writer? I don't know if she wrote that or not. But it is in a way that unusually on her pieces, I don't normally disagree with the titles, even if they're sensational. I do not agree with that she was trying to mow down ICE agents. I think it was pretty clear in the video she was not. I watched the video again. So no, I don't. I do not support that title at all. But that's no beef. Obviously, I'm a huge Cassandra supporter. There's no beef at all there. But and you know, you have to do what you do. I do the YouTube titles. I do all kinds of crazy stuff too. But I just for the record, I do not agree that she was trying to mow down ICE agents. Absolutely not. There's not even a doubt in my mind she wasn't trying to mow down. Maybe that doesn't mean she didn't, you know, make poor choices. But if you just want to ask me, was she trying to mow down an ICE agent? Absolutely not. There is zero doubt in my mind that she was not trying to mow down any ICE agent. Absolutely not. I'm going to pause and look at the chat and see what people are saying on that. Am I crazy or what? Even if you're the biggest Trump supporter, you're going to lie about that type of stuff? You're going to lie about that to back Trump or what? I don't even know what the take would be there. But she was trying to let cars go through. Or well, from where the video started, she actually let the car go through that was the officer that shot her. She had stopped. She wanted to leave. You could see it on the video. I think I have a video from Tim Pool because I want to go there because he wouldn't do anything that YouTube wouldn't like. He went to the slow-mo. Okay, this one. I guess I'll have to stop it before the shooting, or I don't know what YouTube does with that, but I haven't played any of the video because I'm kind of worried about that. But we'll try to play some of it here. It's gonna be very little on the vertical screen, but I gotta figure out how to do that bigger. But just in, new footage with cleaned up audio shows Renee Good told ICE she was pulling out. I don't know if this audio. I don't trust any video. I could fake that in 2 seconds with the tools that I have with AI. But I'm just going to show you what was there. But I do know at least the video that people are saying is real, that she did try to let that car go. So we're not going to show any of the. We don't see much in this video anyway after the shots are fired, but still disturbing. I am not showing any of that. Just that she's in a SUV. The SUV is kind of like almost T-boned in the road. She's trying to move. She's going to move, and she waves the car in. If this is the real video, which I would have no idea, it is impossible to independently confirm that. But if this is the real video, she waved her hand that was an ICE agent, or at least the ICE agent was in that car, to my knowledge, the one that shot her. She's inching the car up. Now, she shouldn't have been there, don't get me wrong, but she's inching the car up. Don't tell me she was trying to run over ICE agent. That's not I don't like that. I mess around with headlines, but I'm not messing around with that like this. She's trying to go and has to stop because this car is going faster. She waves that car go through. And then is she waving another one through? I don't know what she's doing here. Let's keep going. She's trying to wave another one through. The one where the ICE guy comes out. And then the audio, I don't know if it's real or not. You could clearly hear she's saying, "I'm pulling out. I'm pulling out." Okay, pause. I know it's late at night. Let's deal with this better than whoever did the Charlie Kirk joke from yesterday. Let's not go down that path. She says, "I'm pulling out." Pulling out. I don't want to hear any lesbian dildo jokes. It's too soon. This is a responsible channel. I don't want to hear anything about any pegging jokes or whatever. I'm pulling out. This is a serious discussion. This video says I'm pulling out. And she was, we saw, literally trying to pull out. I don't, the ICE agents, in my opinion, in my layperson's opinion, didn't handle this well. There was no need for it to escalate this way, but they're in the right. She's in the wrong. But you could see how she could get scared. She was trying to pull out, and then the ICE agents come out the car, and she's just a 37-year-old woman that doesn't have a man in her life to say, make me a sandwich instead of doing this dumb shit. She would have been much safer in the kitchen in a halter top making a steak sandwich, and she would still be here. As much as you want to be empowered. So you want to be empowered, women? Well, then you can have a lead sandwich instead of making a sandwich. She says, I'm pulling out. And the ICE agents are understandably tired of this shit. They're tired. They're done. They've had enough. They're human beings. And they're still within their right. You shouldn't be there. Drag her out of there. Got no problem with it. If she has a problem, she has to have the ability to control her emotions to, like, hey, hold up. Okay, I'm in deep-ish right now. If she had a man in the passenger seat with her, like a man, not like a leftist feminist, a non-feminist, non-Zionist Christian man in the passenger seat with her, he would have said, stop. So she's probably panicking. And then the ICE agent is totally done. He's like, get out of the fucking car now. He didn't say now, but you heard him. Get out of the fucking car. It's a man with a gun. It's men with guns. You just stop. See, this is the same thing as reality hitting somebody who says a man can be a woman because they put on makeup and lipstick. No, they can't. And then at some point, biology rules. These are men with guns. So at some point, you either respect that or the law of nature will take over. Otherwise, natural selection will take over. I'm not playing the part where she gets shot, but I'm showing you. So he grabs the car. She's backing out. Why is she backing out? She's trying to leave. She's completely panicked. She's backing out, like, away. She's not backing out the guy is on the side of her. So she's not trying to back out she's trying to get away, back out, is what it clearly looks like. So I really, really don't like that headline. And when you're a writer, I don't think you can control that, but either way, it doesn't matter. I want to see what the chat's tell. Am I crazy? Am I crazy? Just on the topic of, maybe I might be crazy, but just on the topic of, let's look at this $2 super chat. Thank you. This is OIOI. Local cops are criminals. ICE is cleaning up America. I'm not anti-ICE. I'm not anti-ICE. So thank you for the $2 super chat. I respect that. You've got to be prepared, though. And you've got to have a boss that sets you up for success. If I'm the boss of the ICE agent after that shooting happens, I'm like, let's take it all back, guys. We're not ready for this. We're going into areas where the people are against us and the police aren't helping. What's the plan? Obviously, the plan failed there. That we shouldn't be. Well, I mean, if you want to go harder, go harder. But for me, you got to reset the whole approach because the optics are bad now. But thank you. I just want to see what people are saying here. ICE is what this country voted for. That's fair. That is absolutely fair. This Cruz says ICE is what this country voted for. Hint as to why Trump won the popular vote by millions. Yeah, that's absolutely true. June says, I saw a video from the other side and she hit him with her car and he had a gun pointed at her, so stop. I'm not saying that the first get the cop should not be arrested and go to jail. I'm not saying that. I'm asking you a very specific question, Junebug, and I think the way that you presented it, because you strongly disagree with me, but your comment's still respectful, I think you'll be honest. Just answer the question for me. Yes, I agree. The car touched him. Did he hit it? Yeah, okay, fine. She hit him with the car. Obviously, that's why I said it's justified. But do you think she was trying to run him over? Purposely trying to run him over to unlive him or hurt him based on the video? That's my only question because it came up because of the title. The title said, the title here said, was talking about basically trying to mow down ICE. Absolutely not. Title says, GoFundMe, trying to mow down ICE. No, that's no. I don't agree with that. So just on that topic, and maybe you might say it doesn't matter, but at least be honest with me there. They said the ICE agent just got drugged by a car a couple months ago. Yes, I didn't know that till Christy No mentioned it, by an anti-ICE, and he was injured. So what's your biggest takeaway from that? 1369 FHL. What's your biggest takeaway from that? Just 6 months ago is what my understanding was. The same ICE agent got drugged by a car a couple months ago and was injured. What that says to me is there's not there was no improvement in the approach. I'm not blaming the ICE agent. I'm blaming the manager. If you are in charge of ICE and one of your ICE agents, they're throwing rocks at ICE and they're blocking the federal buildings on ICE, and this agent is getting drugged. I heard something like 30 stitches after he got drugged from this. I don't know who was dragging him during an ICE type of event. They have to cover their faces because they could get doxxed. And you don't improve from that moment to where we come to Minneapolis. Nick Shirley does the Somali video, and we haven't improved since then. Nick Shirley does the Somali video, so then you just react to social media and send the ICE agents out there, and they're still not ready, more prepared than they were 6 months ago. Is that not fair? Tell me if I'm being unfair. I always leave room to be wrong. I didn't ask if her intent. So I'm listening to somebody. 9 Reality Check says her intent doesn't matter. I didn't ask you if it mattered or not. I showed you a headline that said that she tried to mow down. If her intent didn't matter, why does the headline say she tried to mow down an ICE agent? I know it's Gateway Pundit. I have no problem with Gateway Pundit. There's no beef with them. I always have to say that because people, I don't know, man. People just, Jake Shields and Nick Fuentes beefing, and Myron and Nick Fuentes beefing. And it's like everybody's beefing. People who aren't really probably shouldn't be beefing. Candace and Nick are beefing, and these people are beefing, and Megan and Ben's beefing, and Dave Smith beefing with the whole world. And it's just, and you have one little bit of a disagreement, and all of a sudden, you're unfollowed, blocked, or what, and you're going back and forth and all this nonsense. And I'm as bad with it as anybody else because I've been in Laura Loomer's. I've always liked Laura Loomer a lot. She was a pro Nick before, and I'm in her comments, and I'm acting like a baby. But I'm tired of hearing from her. But my point is, I'm not trying to diss anybody. Explain this to me. If intent doesn't matter, then you agree with me. The headline is obviously ridiculous, right? A lot of people don't care. I have no retort to it. A lot of people are like, I don't care. Fuck around, find out. I don't have a retort to that. I mean, I guess we can move on. I really don't have a retort to that. I absolutely agree. That lady had no reason to be interfering with ICE. You're absolutely correct. This is the chaos. I do agree with this too. This is the chaos and discourse the orange man wants. I absolutely do agree with that. This is taken away from the Epstein discussion. There's a lot of bills being passed and worked on that aren't very good in Congress. Takes away from that. Takes away. I don't even believe he wants to do like mass deportations. So it takes away from even that. And it kind of divides the country. So it does help him a little bit too. I think they're going to get slaughtered in the midterm. It doesn't help them as much, but it does help Trump because it diverts from those problem issues, diverts from the Charlie Kirk questions, which they do indirectly tie back to Donald Trump. We still don't really feel confident about his assassination attempt, which means that he could be co-opted, corrupted, you know, and it focuses on, oh, you're left and you're right, or that type of stuff, which Trump's okay with. Trump would be operating a lot different if he wasn't basically a lame duck at this point. Oh, sorry. What's up? Primetime Ray for the show. Primetime Ray says, oh, sorry. You seem like you've been more and more anti-Nick. What? Anti-Nick Fuentes or Nick Shirley? I'm rocking the hat, bruh. Like, I don't rock hats. I got a Ray. This is, if you don't know, this is a long time friend of the show, Primetime Ray. And I have his sweater in the closet. I don't have people's gear that I don't respect. No, I do have some slight different disagreements with Nick, but that's the homie, man. As far as like commentators, so that I have no. I'm a huge Nick supporter. She went there to create chaos and succeeded. Yep, it's all fair. I think people are being fair in the comments, so we'll move on. We'll break down the Renee Good a little bit more, just to tell you a little bit more about her. She was. It's hard when people pass like that, even though obviously I didn't know who she was, but just passed, so you have to use past tense. Good was the mother of a 6-year-old son. I have a 6-year-old. You already see that? She had a 6-year-old. I have a 6-year-old. I can relate to her at least in some way. Oh, okay. She did have multiple children. I was like, I hate when I get stuff like that wrong. She reportedly had 2 other children from prior relationships. Okay. Well, obviously it was for prior relationships. Making her a mother of 3 in total. Man, that's sad. On the morning of January 7th, obviously, she had just dropped her 6-year-old off at school. So you see why this bubbles up. It's a mother of 3. You're gonna try to paint that as a domestic terrorist already? I mean, it's possible that she is, but it's not. The story is not playing out that way, guys. That's why Kristi Noem had to go. She had to resign. Trump had to force her out. Now, Trump, you need to go. This is horrific. I'm not rocking with a group that, even though the shooting was just in the legal frame from a non-legal person like myself, doesn't mean the optics call for, I got to get somebody out. Somebody's got to pay the price. The old Donald Trump would have had somebody fired. You're fired. That's what he was known for. Where is that? She dropped the 6-year-old off at school, just like I dropped my 2 kids, 6 and 9, off at school every day. Was driving back home with her partner when fate placed her in the middle of a federal immigration raid in Minneapolis. According to her ex-husband, who spoke with the AP, Renee was not known to be a political. I've heard conflicting stuff on that, but I'm just telling you the news here. That she had never been involved in protests in the past. Her mother likewise insisted that her daughter would not have been a part of anything like a violent confrontation. She was probably terrified. All of this set the stage for a tragic incident that would spark dueling narratives about who Renee Good really was and what exactly happened on that snowy Minneapolis street. And I'm going to stop here and talk again two people on that, if you could say, left side. I am not happy with you not looking at the leaders in Minneapolis. You're doing that whole thing. You're no better than MAGA. You're doing this thing where I'm on the left and ICE is bad. Well, if ICE is bad and the police are bad, then from your standpoint, then why aren't you talking about the police not cooperating with ICE to protect people? Because you're in this, you're doing that meme. I don't know where that meme came from. Was it Futurama? I don't know where it came from, with the guy sweating, got two buttons to push. Either you support the police helping ICE deport people, or you live and protest and you're unsafe. Because if the police were there, that whole thing would have, she probably would have been alive. But you're a sanctuary city, so you don't support, you don't coordinate with ICE unless somebody gets cack, and then you come in with the paramedics. That's the only time you kind of come together to support. And the reason they don't do that is political optics. They don't want to look like, I'm a Democrat, so now the police are part of the ICE operation. Instead of being adults and saying, well, I disagree with the ICE operations, but do you want them to have to unlive 37-year-old mothers with three? With the father of the kids, to my knowledge, not living anymore? Which one would you rather have? The ICE coming in anyway because it's legal, they can, and the police making sure people protest but nobody gets hurt? Or would you like a mother of three with a wife and three kids who now don't have a mother anymore? Which one would you rather have? That's true. Trump is a draft dodging rich boy. I've talked about that. That doesn't mean I wouldn't support somebody, but you have told no lies. Gina Fay says she wasn't a teenager. A grown woman should know what she should do if an ICE officer tells her to stop. Adults need to take accountability. I have nothing else to say, but thank you for your comment. That's absolutely correct. I agree. I mean, the comments are all, I really appreciate it. The comments are all respectful and accurate. Mother of three shouldn't be out committing crimes. Most sane parents wouldn't. Yeah. And what do you think my thought about that's why you need a father? It's not just the children that need a father. A father knows, wait, the children need their mother. So let's go back to the story though, and kind of follow what was happening with Renee Good. After we do Renee Good and what happened, I'm going to go to the aftermath and just in general what happened today. And then two more people got unlived by ICE. Another day, two more people getting unlived by ICE. So we come to the encounter. So I'm trying to figure out Goods. I'm trying to figure out the timeline of it. So I'm getting to, like, how did we even get to that situation? Goods' red Honda Pilot came upon several ICE agents. Now, we already had that. Why don't I have what happened before? How did she was a part of the protest though. See, I don't like that. I'm gonna try to get an update because I want to get, when you do the kind of AI stuff, it it is all leftist. And it's kind of disgusting to me. Why is everything all leftist? It's really kind of vile to me. And they're all biased. What happened before? Why was she even there? Let's see if we can find that. I don't know if I'm going to even do it through I'm going to do it through here. I wanted some answers. Did this answer, how did the Honda Pilot even get in the road blocking the situation? I don't want to talk about anything after the ICE officer went to the door. I want to talk about, she dropped the kids off, the 6-year-old off at school. What happened after that? What do we know happened after that? So I'm going to get that to go and get into the timeline and let it work on that. This is the ChatGPT 5.2 thinking mode, so it's better than just the free version. What I'm looking at here is a deep research. So that's the best to me. That's the best AI search reply is ChatGPT deep research. You have limited amounts if you don't pay. So we know what happened after they encountered. We just broke that down. Attempt to flee. That's an opinion, but I agree with that. Shots fired. I think the shots fired were unnecessary, but you cannot argue with the situation. How's the officer going to know if she's trying to run him over or not? Competing narratives from the moment news of Renee Good's death broke, two different narratives emerged about what happened. So now we're talking about in the aftermath. What a mistake to portray her as a terrorist. Kristi Noem actually didn't do that bad in the press conference for what she is, but that was a bad moment to paint her as a terrorist. It's really trying to reach people who don't know what's happening. Because if you follow this, there's nothing here that really lends it to that. According to Noam, of course she's going to say the ICE agent followed his training. There's no training. You're going to tell me that there's training where if there's a moving car, you get in front of it on your feet. What training is that? That's the training you do if you want to shoot somebody. There's no, I don't, show me the training manual that says ICE agent get in front of a car that's the engine's on. I'd like to see that. Donald Trump, did he even speak on this? I have a deep research. I want to figure that out. Did he even speak on it, or was he just on social media about it? I think I need to do a deep research just on that. So I'm gonna let this work in the background too. I'm gonna do a deep research on this. ChatGPT, did Donald Trump speak on this at all from yesterday to today? Today right now is Friday. But since the incident, did he do any type of press conference, answer questions about it? He might have. I just didn't hear the clips or see the clips. Or was it all on social media? I'm going to crash out if he hasn't made a statement. Very disrespectful if he hasn't. The incident I'm talking about is the ICE officer shooting Renee Good. So that's going to take a few minutes. Let's go back and let's take a look here if this got answered. Still don't have an answer. It says, as it's thinking, I have the key details. They were driving back from school drop. Who's they? Why does it say they? I'm not going to read that. I thought she was by herself. So I'll wait. I'll wait to get the final. You can tell when it's thinking. It will tell you what it's looking up. So I can't read that, and if I don't think it's right. So I'm gonna look at some comments here while I'm waiting to get an answer for that. That'll pop up here in a second. The car did hit him, a witness said. So yeah, that matters. I tried to poop and kind of throw that off to the side earlier. I should not have. That matters. That absolutely matters. Perfect Duality says, I've just viewed the clip. I'll get back to that in a second. I think there's another super chat here. Oh, Primetime Ray. Thanks, Primetime Ray has a super chat. Let's look at his. Saw you're live after my treadmill workout. Oh, get that workout in. Respect. Get that working out, sir. I worked out the other day after a late live, drinking coffee at midnight. I'm not going to work out tonight. It's too late. If I get started early enough on the live, I will, but it's too late now. Let's go back to the perfect duality comment. If I can find it. Did I miss it? I think I missed the comment. Perfect duality. My bad. Perfect duality says those are Donald Trump's words from the post. Oh, from his Truth Social post is what it was. Okay. Let's go. We do have the thinking research done. My earlier answer did not explain how the Honda Pilot. Let's let ChatGPT read this one.
My earlier answer did not explain how the Honda Pilot got positioned across the street because the public video record starts after the vehicle is already there. Hang hair. What we can verify after the school drop-off and before any agent reaches for the door. Renee Good dropped off her youngest child at an elementary school in Minneapolis. Then she drove away in her Honda Pilot. Her ex-husband told the Associated Press that she was headed home when she encountered a group of ICE agents on a snowy street.
Just
The
happened to?
earliest verified on-scene sequence comes from bystander video. That video shows her Honda stopped on Portland Avenue, straddling multiple lanes, with the driver's side window open. The driver is waving an arm as if signaling cars to go around, and at least one large SUV does drive around the front of her vehicle and continues down the street. The AP description also says the Honda was parked nearly perpendicular across a one-way residential street. The Star Tribune similarly describes the Honda Pilot as positioned perpendicular to Portland Avenue near East 34th Street. Minneapolis Police Chief Brian O'Hara publicly said the preliminary information was that she was in her vehicle and was blocking the roadway on Portland Avenue between 33rd and 34th Streets. What we cannot verify yet, because it is missing from the public record. We do not have public video showing her route from the school to Portland Avenue or the maneuver that placed the Honda nearly perpendicular across the street.
That's pretty important.
We do not have public documentation showing whether she stopped because the street was partially obstructed by federal vehicles, whether she was attempting a turn, whether she was waiting for space to proceed, or whether she intended to slow or obstruct the operation. Any claim that picks one of those explanations as the truth is guessing right now. The one clue about intent that exists before the door moment. After the shooting, her partner is heard saying, "I made her come down here," which suggests this was not purely accidental in the partner's mind. That line still does not tell us whether "come down here" meant drive home through that street or intentionally go toward the ICE activity. The part of the story people keep skipping, and you should keep pressing on Fawn. The timeline from school drop-off to the first video frame is the most important missing slice. The public has a movie that starts mid-scene, and everyone is arguing about motives without the setup. The specific items that would answer your exact question are earlier footage, traffic, or doorbell.
Yep. Yeah. The wife said, "I made her come down there." And that's why maybe you should just zip your mouth. And not that I'm on the side of the wives, but I mean, I hate to say it, if you're going to be lesbian, at least be hot, but it's late night. It's late night. But I'm not on their side, but that's when you should probably shell up. You should probably shell up. Because now that's a wrap. The wife said, kind of blaming herself, that's why she came down here. So why are we kind of seeing it portrayed as she dropped the kid off at school and just was driving in and had her coffee and encountered an ICE raid, but then the wife says she was the reason she came down here? Again, I don't want to hear any of the carpet licking or whatever jokes. This is a serious live. Well, that's a pretty important detail not to know. I think that's pretty important. So, the role of her partner in on-scene footage. Let's look at the allegations of activist training. I have not talked about that yet. This is pretty important too. One of the most important moments of this story has been emerging claims, and we're going to find out if this is true or not, about her involvement in local activism. In the days after the shooting, conservative media outlets reported, which is accurate, the ones that call themselves conservative were the only ones talking about this, evidence that Good had ties to an organized anti-ICE network in Minneapolis. We're going to dig deeper to that, but my first thought is, well, okay, I'm cool with some leftists. If something happened, they would say I had ties to leftist activism. But I don't know what the story is, but that by itself doesn't mean anything. According to an investigative report by the Post, Renee Good was not a random passerby at the scene, but rather an ICE Watch volunteer. That does not mean she was a bad person. That actually means that I have respect, even though I don't agree with her positioning here, potentially, if this was her ideology, which it looks like it was. But I do respect someone who has enough cojones. They didn't have any cojones in the marriage, but she had cojones to do something about her, not something more than getting behind the mic, to do something. It was stupid, but I do commend people who actually want to do something, if that's her position or was her position. Essentially, an anti-ICE activist trained to monitor. And they talk about training. Well, let's talk about the training from the ICE agents too, though. Not just her training. There's connections through a charter school. Like many progressive families in South Minneapolis, Good sent her child to a school that emphasizes social justice activism. I mean, they all do that. I don't know what that really means. Local sources told the Post that through her 6-year-old son's charter school, Good linked up with a community-based network that keeps tabs on ICE operations. This loose coalition, formerly known as ICE Watch, consists of residents who rapidly mobilize when immigration agents are spotted, with the goal of documenting, disrupting, and delaying any enforcement actions in their neighborhood. If these groups actually cared about people, then why wouldn't they be out telling people, well, here's the safe way to do this? Such groups had sprung up in sanctuary cities across the country since all this popped off with Donald Trump. The claims of the training, perhaps the most controversial claim from that report, is that Renee Good underwent training on how to engage with ICE agents. A fellow parent from the school, identified only as Lisa, was quoted praising Good as a warrior. She died doing what was right. Lisa claimed that the participants in the ICE Watch network receive very thorough training on protest tactics. Renee was trained what to do, what not to do. She told the Post, explaining that the training covers listening to commands. That's interesting, because she didn't do that. Knowing your rights and whistling when you see an ICE agent. In other words, activists are taught de-escalation and alert techniques. For example, observers will blow whistles and all that. So she did not do what she was trained to do based on what we're reading right now. So it looks like there was a lot of failed training to go around. It's easy to say when you're not in the heat of the moment on either side. So they might use their cars to block ICE vehicles from leaving, literally boxing them in. We've seen that multiple times. If it might prevent an arrest. Man, it's just, how do you get to the point where you don't even know who they're trying to get, but you're blocking the ICE agents? It's just so illogical. Federal officials point to such tactics as evidence that confrontations between vehicles and agents are no accident. Yeah, we know that. We are aligned. We are absolutely aligned on that. Merging with other activist groups, the Minneapolis ICE Watch Coalition was said to have recently affiliated with a more radical organization called Twin City Ungovernables. This suggests Good may have been plugged into a broader activist community in the Twin Cities. The neighborhood where she was shot is known as an activist-heavy area. It's about a mile from George Floyd Square. It is important to note Good's family strongly disputes this version of her story. They maintain that Renee was not a part of any coordinated militant effort. Sounds like the wife somewhat disagrees with that as well. They said, let's continue on. It says it's possible that after moving to Minneapolis, Renee did engage with local immigrant rights groups. Several parents from the community affirmed that a lot of the parents are activists and that Renee was socially conscious. She was a LGBTQer, obviously. However, whether she had planned to confront ICE that day was simply swept up in events remains a matter of debate. So we don't know what happened. It sounds kind of like she dropped the kid off at some point, got an alert. ICE, woo woo. This is the time. This is the go time. This is why you've been trained. You're already in a car. What are you gonna do? And I don't think she really even understood that men with guns might use them. I don't think she really understood that. Her partner, Rebecca, was at the scene of the shooting. So no, at the scene of the shooting. Rebecca is Renee's. We've talked about that. Rebecca was acting as a self-appointed observer. So I guess Rebecca was at the. So I don't know who was in the car or what. Maybe they rolled in together. Maybe they both dropped the kid off. We don't know. But it looks like Rebecca, the partner, was at the scene at the time, is what this looks like to me, based on KOMON or Como News, KOMO News.com and FoxNews.com. She was acting as a self appointed observer, filming the incident on her phone from a short distance behind the ICE agents. Oh, wow. Is that her with the recording? I don't know. But it sounds like she was recording the ICE agents when the situation escalated. The videos that Rebecca took have been crucial. Wow. I didn't even know that. Man, that's crazy. In the immediate aftermath of the popping off, Rebecca's reaction was one of horror and self blame. Yeah, that's a natural. Oh, so that's why she said that. I thought she had said that the next day. It sounds like she said they just shot my wife. I made her come down here. It's my fault. Was a honest, just you could imagine in the emotion of the moment where that's obviously not the outcome you were looking for or hoped for. And maybe she didn't push her to do it, but guilty at the right at that emotional time. In that agonizing moment, Rebecca was lamenting that she had urged Renee to come to the area. It suggests that Rebecca was the one who initially heard about the ICE activity, potentially, to go there. Her remorseful statement, "It's my fault," kind of it's an important clue if it is true. So that's a little bit about Rebecca Good, or I think that covers it. And then we can go to Donald Trump. I want to hear what Donald Trump said. I think that deep research is done. Let's see here. Looks like she was trying to get out of there. It's a bad shoot by the Jagbot, period. Is that the cop, like a derogatory term for a cop? The cop in front of the car is justified in thinking his life is okay. So people are still arguing on that. So let's look at Donald Trump's words. I am very interested in this. Donald Trump's remarks on the ICE shooting. Let's see here. He did not hold a standalone press conference on January 4/5. What the hell are we talking about? Happened on the 7th. But he did make statements through an interview with reporters via social media posts. That's not good. That's not good at all. Do not like that at all. Doesn't matter. I'm not worried about arguing who did what. Donald Trump needs to do a proactive, that's how bad this is. A proactive press conference from the head honcho. Absolutely. Trump held an on the record interview with the New York Times in the Oval Office. I guess they wanted to try to see if it would just go away. I don't know why they wouldn't do a press conference where he defended the ICE agent's actions and asserted that Good had tried to run over the officer. He exaggerates, even in serious moments like this. He even asked an aide to bring a laptop to play the video. So he did a lot of stuff on social media. In that post, he bluntly labeled the woman who was killed as obviously a professional agitator. This is not the time for hyperbole. Did it look like, from the profile I broke down to you, does it look like she was a professional agitator? The woman driving the car was very disorderly, obstructing, and resisting. And he said that she violently, willfully, and viciously ran over the ICE officer, who seems to have shot her in self-defense. Trump, this is so off, where he said it's hard to believe the officer is still alive. I don't even know did Trump even see the video? That doesn't make any sense. It's not like the officer was right in the middle of the car. It was off to the side. Four-man channel Trump. Yeah, so Trump's remarks, interview with the press, and posts on social media. That's it. That's absolutely all he's done. Not good. Not good. Do you disagree with me that is not leadership in this moment? What are you guys thinking here? I want to see if am I off base. The protests that are happening right now are not really protests. So we got Nacho saying, "What do you guys think about the protests happening right now?" They're not protests. It's just a show of force. You don't protest at night. What's the point? Why do you need darkness to protest? What are you protesting? I don't even know what they're protesting. It's unclear. To me, at least. You can protest ICE coming into the area, but you're only out there because they shot the woman. And there was nothing, the woman did not do what your own type of groups taught her to do. So let's go look at the larger aftermath, and then might do some miscellaneous topics and be out. Aftermath of the early January 2024 ICE incident. Am I not sharing anymore? No, I'm not sharing. Let's look at the ICE aftermath. Oh, wait, I wanted to go over the two shot. Let's go over the two shot. Back-to-back ICE involved shootings. So we had the Minneapolis shooting, and then we had today Portland shooting. 2 wounded by Border Patrol. So yesterday, as of this recording, because we're in the early morning of January 9th, in East Portland, Oregon, another heavy leftist stomping ground, in the Hazelwood neighborhood around 2:15 p.m., agents of U.S. Customs and Border Protection attempted a targeted vehicle stop on a suspect's car outside Adventist Medical Center. According to the DHS statement, agents were seeking to arrest the vehicle's passenger, whom they described as a, wait for it, Venezuelan. How many Venezuelans did we let in here, man? They're all over the place with this gang and some of the non-gangs. I got a lot of the Mexicans, the people I call Mexicans around me, are Venezuelans. Y'all all Mexicans to me. I just call all of y'all Mexicans. They say he was affiliated with the Tren de Aragua gang. We're familiar with them in Colorado, all over the country, really. That's what they're alleging. The driver was also alleged to be a member of that gang. They refused to comply and instead weaponized his vehicle. I'm not aware of body cam or anything video for this. So these are just reports. Imagine if you don't. Let's look at the Renee Good for a second. Imagine, I think that's what Trump is doing with that hyperbole. Imagine you didn't have the video and Trump said, "Oh, the guy, I can't believe he's alive." It would be, and then you saw the video after that, you'd be like, wait a second. That's not even close to how you described it. So we don't have the video of this. I don't know what's true or not. I tend to believe this story, this narrative here, but who knows? So again, attempting to run over the agent. This is different because you're trying to apprehend someone here who's here illegally. It's not like you're dealing with crowd control, which is a whole different thing. When you're dealing with crowd control, you must have restraint to avoid these type of situations. Even if you're not going to be locked up, you're in a bad spot. You're putting everybody in a bad spot. You put all the ICE agents in a bad spot. The Border Patrol agent opened fire on the car because the vehicle was weaponized, in their words, fearing for his life, is what they're saying. Shot in defense. The suspect's vehicle sped away from the scene with both in there despite their injuries. They had a 911 call, a 911 call, reporting the shots fired. And then, let's see, the man who was shot was begging for help down the street. They came through. It was a male and a female, both with gunshot wounds inside a bullet-riddled red pickup truck that pulled into an apartment complex parking lot. Police immediately provided first aid, applying a tourniquet to one victim, and summoned paramedics. This is getting pretty crazy. I'm pretty sure they're a sanctuary. I don't know if the state is, or if I'm pretty sure Portland is as a city. The states, I don't know if the states outside of California, I believe, is. I don't know if the states have really said it. It's almost like the cities have done it because the states don't want those problems. Because you're getting very close to constitutional violations. So they transported the man and woman to a hospital. As far as we know, both of these individuals are still alive, and we're hoping for more positive updates, is what we heard here. So am I supposed to shed a tear for these gang members? If they're gang members, I don't know if they are or not. If they are, am I supposed to shed a tear? Am I supposed to care? They look like they're gang members who are here illegally, potentially. We don't know that for sure. We've seen the administration lie, Brago Garcia, and then I already forgot the name of the young lady. They didn't lie on that one, other than the timing of the judge. But I don't trust them, is my point. I don't trust them to be 100% accurate when we talk about the status of somebody, especially. So back-to-back shootings. So we have back-to-back shootings. This is completely different than the other one, but at what point does the president not come out and talk? He can come out and talk with fire and brimstone. He just needs to talk and have a strategy. I mean, you're leading the country. And when you were president under the 2020, you didn't handle the riots well. We're not in the summer. If this was the summer, you would have had to you would have had to done something, because you would have had way more people out there. Local police in Portland were not involved. They arrived afterwards, because that's how it kind of works in these sanctuary areas. They will get involved after somebody gets shot. It was handed over to the FBI, who are just corrupt, led by Kash Patel. What a disaster. Kristi Noem, Pam Bondi, Kash Patel. I used to like Kash Patel too, but the other ones I never liked. But Dan Bongino, Kash Patel, Tulsi Gabbard. What happened to Tulsi Gabbard? Man, they turned really bad. The only one that kind of stayed true to who he was the raspy one, Robert Kennedy Jr. He's the only one that kind of stayed true to who he was the whole time. Liberals are a hive mind. Yeah, pretty much. There's a lot of fuck around and find out. There's a lot of people just saying, by the way, fuck around and find out, which is true. There's scientific charts you haven't seen showing the lack of diversity and thought within the Democrat Party. Yeah, you can say that about MAGA too, though. The MAGA party that has no diversity of thought when it comes to certain issues. Absolutely none at all. Yep. So that's the end of that. I'm gonna head out, and we will cover the aftermath. We will continue to see where this goes. Oh wow. Oh, this is another. They're talking about. Okay, they're talking about the Portland. I saw another shooting on X, but it's the same Portland one. Yeah, I don't understand the midterm strategy for Republicans. I'm just looking at X right now just to make sure I'm not missing anything breaking. I don't see anything breaking. Let's look at Kim Iverson real quick. See what she's up to.
Saying yesterday, Renee Nicole Good, a 37-year-old mother and U.S. citizen, was fatally shot by an ICE agent in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Homeland Security, they are saying that she weaponized her vehicle. Others are saying, no, absolutely not. And when people have dissected this frame by frame, they see that she's obviously turned her wheels completely, avoiding the officer.
I don't know if she show it or not. I guess they did show it. I'm not going to show it in regular time.
With this whole thing was to think it just happened so quickly that it just looked like both sides panicked. It looked like she panicked and she started driving the car, and the officer panicked and shot her. And I think that's reasonable to believe. However, there's a real possibility that this ICE agent was doing exactly what he was trained to do, which is kill protesters. In September, President Trump signed something called NSPM 7, which is a national security presidential memorandum that most Americans never heard of but probably should. Now, on paper, it was framed as a response to political violence, but in reality, NSPM 7 fundamentally reclassified how the federal government views unrest inside the United States. It told federal law enforcement to stop treating certain acts of protest or resistance as isolated crimes and instead view them as organized terror-linked campaigns, especially those associated with so-called anti-fascist movements. Now, that's a big shift because once you label something terrorism, everything downstream changes. Agencies like ICE are no longer just enforcing civil law, they're operating inside a counter-terror framework. So ICE is supposed to be a...
Damn, that's good information. I did not know that. Kim Iverson is just absolutely outstanding. She's really good. I haven't listened to her show in a while, but she's great.
Unrest inside the United States. It runs that most Americans never heard of but probably should. Now, on paper, it was framed as a response, which is a national security president. Trump signed something called NSPM
7. NSPM
7, which is a national security presidential memorandum that most Americans never heard of but probably should. Now, on paper, it was framed as a response to political violence, but in reality, NSPM 7 fundamentally reclassified how the federal government views unrest inside the United States. It told federal law enforcement to stop treating certain acts of protest or resistance as isolated crimes and instead view them as organized terror-linked campaigns, especially those associated with so-called anti-fascist movements. Now, that's a big shift because once you label something terrorism, everything downstream changes. Agencies like ICE are no longer just enforcing civil law, they're operating inside a counter-terror framework. So ICE is supposed to be a civil immigration agency, but under NSPM 7, threats against ICE were elevated to national security threats. Anti-ICE activism was treated not as dissent, but as potential extremism. That means agents are now trained to expect ambush, resistance, coordinated violence, even when none exists. And when officers expect terrorism, de-escalation stops being the priority. Confusion becomes threat. A sudden movement becomes a hostile act. So that's how routine enforcement turns into a fatal encounter, not because someone intended to kill, but because the margin for error collapses. And when ideology is treated as a threat multiplier, when protest equals extremism, when civil enforcement adopts a war footing, people die who were never supposed to die. And Renee Nicole Good could be the tragic example of just how dangerous it is to start labeling fellow Americans as terrorists.
Yeah, I'll look into that. Obviously, that's from the left standpoint, but I will look at that. Let's look at, I'm going to change topics to, I want to crash out a little bit on, I'm not going to crash out, I'm too tired to crash out. Let's talk about Ashley St. Clair. There's a funny post where somebody was reacting to Ashley St. Clair. Oh, you know what? Before I do that, let's talk about this. I just want to end the conversation of the Renee Good before I get out of here, do a different topic. But I thought this was interesting. I talked about the role of men and what they would play in talking about an incident like this, preventing an incident like this. If I want to get evidence for that case, this is probably one of the best pieces of evidence.
Let me make this clear. Federal agents, ICE, HSI, are officers. They are agents of law enforcement. If you box them in with vehicles, it is reasonable for them to believe that they are being ambushed and that this could end in a deadly situation. And it's reasonable for them to use force based on those conditions. Do not box in any law enforcement officer.
Absolutely.
You are breaking the law when you do that. And you are putting yourself in danger. Following law enforcement agents around. The question is why? Mm-hmm. What do you plan on doing?
Yep.
It's also reasonable for them to believe that you're eventually going to do harm to them. If you ram any vehicle, especially that one that contains law enforcement agents, and that's any law enforcement, local, state, federal, county, and you do this intentionally, this is considered deadly force. Deadly force is anything that can cause great bodily harm or death. When you plow into a vehicle that contains law enforcement agents, you're using deadly force. And they can use deadly force in response to stop you.
Now, this is in regards to a different incident, but it's the energy that I want to see. I would want to see Trump saying this type of thing.
We need to be clear about these laws. We cannot become a society where we just decide to take everything in our own hands and start to commit crimes against law enforcement. It is a crime. You may not like what they're doing. I can understand that there's a lot of emotions out there, but that does not mean that you get to commit a crime, especially one that could lead to deadly force. We need to keep everyone safe.
You want Glenn Beck to cry for you?
Privilege to stand with the Jew is a tremendous honor.
So that was the police chief. I'm going to turn the volume back up. I absolutely hate that I don't have anything to pot up the volume.
Let me make this clear.
When I was listening to that in my headphones, it was loud. I don't know what happened there. Maybe it's a different one. I like Jake Shields. This is just random. I'm just going through my timeline. Jake Shields tweets, based white nationalists are celebrating the death of a white woman because they don't like her political views. I don't know what's going on with Jake Shields. Who is he talking about? Name names, number one, so we can look at a quote and a comment. Who is celebrating her death, man? The only white nationalists I care about are Christians. If you're a white nationalist, like maybe Jake Shields, you could call him that, a non-Christian. I'm not really. Uh, I don't have beef with you, but I'm not checking for your opinion like that. So Christians don't celebrate anybody's death. I don't know. He's lost right now, and it's a faith thing. I think it's a faith thing. Did I retweet? Why is that on my timeline? Oh, they changed the way she looked. Was it AI? I don't know. It was Adam Francisco though tweeted that one. Okay, here's Ashley St. Clair. Ashley St. Clair, back over a year ago, this is September of 2024, made $7,500 on X. It's about a 2-week period. You know, she put that in. It's like, okay, let me show that off. This is the time. We didn't know at the time the payout that she got. Elon Musk was retweeting her, replying to her. Whenever Elon Musk does that, he's boosting people up financially. He's giving them money on purpose. And we've allowed them to be private companies, so he's funneled all the money from advertising and from users, and he's spreading it out to his people. Ian Miles Chung, all these random X accounts, and it used to be his baby mama. Recently, the news that we just got today was they took her check mark and canceled her Twitter premium. Gotcha, bitch. You didn't have anything to say about free speech when certain people got banned from the platform, certain people got their check marks removed. She had a couple comments to say. She had no energy about it. She's tweeted about this multiple times now. She's posted on X about this multiple times now to let everybody know, come here. Elon Musk took the check mark. For all we know, he was paying for the premium plan, but I don't know. But the check mark is gone and her premium is gone. She is no longer monetized on the platform. That's gone. I don't support it, but it is ironic because she's the one posting anti-free speech sentiments around the AI editing. She's trying to hide behind children stuff, saying they're doing it for children stuff. Well, then why did you bring up them doing it to you, putting you in a string bikini? And it really isn't you. It's an AI version of you. When the AI absolutely can make basically an exact replica of you, but it can't. They don't allow it to. That's still not good enough for you. Somebody posted and showed that how it started, how's it going, how it started, how it's going. When screwing the boss versus not screwing the boss anymore. Well said. Let's take a look at this clip here from CNN. This is about Ashley Babbitt. Well, I don't want to get back into Renee Good. Let that go now. So I'm gonna get out. I'm gonna get out of here. Everybody have a good night. Appreciate you stopping by the live. This has been Index Red. If you're new to the channel, just hit the subscribe button. Hit the notifications. Because I might be going live more often. We'll see.